Assalamu alaikum all. Welcome back to episode number 18 of Arabella's LCI. Let us review what we have done in episode number 17 and then moving on further. In episode number 17, we have learned template number 9, which was market mapping and competitive landscape matrix. And in today's episode, we will be learning template number 10 of the LCI, the solution acceptance script. But before we move on to learn in detail about solution acceptance script, let me share a few more resources with you that will help you learn in your research process. You can see on your screen that there are two additional resources which are available there. One is a book with the name of Converting Ideas to Innovation with Lean Canvas for Invention. That book is available on Amazon.com, so I would suggest you to have a look and if possible have an access to that content too. It will help you further in polishing your research process. In addition to that, let me also share with you that www.invent-c.com website is functional now, and on this website in fact you have this entire process that we are learning in a form of questions, in a form of checklist and in form of templates is available for you to use for your research process. So have a look to that website. Find it as an additional resource along with this YouTube channel where you can combine different resources in a form of book, in a form of chapters, in a form of website and a form of online resources of that YouTube channel that will help you in your research process hopefully. Having said this, now let us continue with your episode number 18 in which we will be learning the template number 10 of the LCI, the solution acceptance script. Now let me take you first to episode number 6. When we were working on episode number 6, if you remember, we were associated with the first component of the LCI. The first component of the LCI was related to problem identification. And if you remember, we were learning from a variety of resources in order to explore that what real world problem through your research you want to answer. So you had to look into a variety of research papers in the literature review, you had to look to the business reports, you had to look to the patents, and also you had to look to certain other additional resources while visiting conferences. But then at the same time, we have also learned that only reading articles is not sufficient, and what you need to go is to come out of your laboratories, come out your office and interact with the stakeholders who will be using your solution in future and learn from them that whatever exactly you have been looking in a literature review, is it really the same understanding your stakeholder have or not. So what we did in fact in that episode, which was episode number 6, we worked on problem investigation script. And problem investigation script in fact was a form that was allowing you as a researcher, as an academic inventor and as an entrepreneur to interact with the stakeholder and learn from them that whatever the problem you have identified through your literature, the stakeholder have the same understanding and you just wanted to validate your research question. Now at this stage when we are at fourth component of the LCI and we are working in a market landscape component, we will be adopting the same practice again. So let me review for you that in our previous episodes we have been working on market matrix and at the same time market mapping and competitive landscape. These two matrices in fact helped us to understand that what are the solutions that are already available in market of the same problem that we have highlighted through the problem identification component, but then at the same time if solutions are already available, why still the problem exists? It means that the solutions which are available in the market must have certain deficiencies, must have certain limitations which you as a researcher or as an entrepreneur can meet further in order to exactly meet the requirement or exactly solve the problem that we have already identified in our research process. So having said this, in today's activity when we are using template number 10, our purpose is to interact with the end users after exploring the literature from business reports and after developing the market matrix and market mapping and competitive landscape matrix. Now once this activity have been done, my suggestion would you to come out of your offices again, come out of universities again, come out of your laboratories again and go and interact with the end user who is ultimately intending to use solution of your technology or solution of your invention. So let us move further and see that what different sections. So this is the first section of solution acceptance script. Now you can see this solution acceptance script is divided in different sections. And the very first time, what do you need to do is of course to introduce yourself as an academic inventor to your end user. So how you can introduce yourself? Of course by telling them your name, the institutional association, research expertise, objective of conducting your research, then followed up by 2-minute story. Now that 2-minute story in fact would start from the problem that you have already explored through the component number 1 of the LCI, and today you are in a position to tell your end user that I have seen this problem, it is out there, I have seen a variety of solutions that are already available, but the question is still the problem is existing and 100% solution of that problem has not been achieved. So when you be telling this 2-minute story to them, they will be start thinking that yes, we are using these kind of solutions, but still of course they need to further get polished. It is then followed up by what is required for this interview, that of course you will be telling them and why it is important to have this interview. So once you will be introducing yourself to your end user during the interview, now you will be moving to the second section of solution acceptance script. Let's have a look at how the second section looks. Now the second section of solution acceptance script in fact would help you to summarize whatever you have done or achieved so far in your research. Suppose you can see at the top there are 5 solutions written: solution number 1, solution number 2, solution number 3, solution number 4 and solution number 5. Now when these solutions are available, you can see from 1 to 5. Now these are all those solutions that you have already explored through your research work. When you are identifying the problem, you are looking at the same time that what solutions exist in market and whether your end user is using it or not. So you will write down all these solutions only for reference, as a reference section while you have been interacting with your end user. Now once doing this all activity, you will start interacting with your end user with the very first question which says, what 3 existing solutions end user are already using, what limitations are observed in existing solutions, where is improvement desired the most. Now you can see this question in fact would help you to not only have your own 5 solutions that you have already explored, but at the same time the end user will be giving you list of 3 solutions that they are also using in order to meet the requirements related to real world problem. Now once you will get the list of 3 solutions from the end users, then you will be moving to the next section of the solution acceptance script. Let's have a look to next section. Now this is the next section, and that next section would help you to now start discussing your already explored 5 solutions with your end users. Now the end user has already informed you that in order to solve the real world problem, they are using these solutions. But then at the same time, you will be helping them understand and explore that though you are using these solutions, but at the same time there are certain limitations associated with these solutions too. Now once these 3 have been identified, your task would be to inform them that these are not the only 3 solutions that you are using, there might be other solutions as well. And then you will be giving them a list of 5 solutions that you have explored. Now let me share with you here with certain examples. Suppose what do we want to do as an example? We want to increase the fuel efficiency of a car. So if we want to increase a fuel efficiency of a car, there could be a variety of solutions available in the market. Suppose there could be software and hardware interventions. Through engine control efficiency, engine control unit can be modified so the torque as per rotation per meters may be improved. But then at the same time, You could have some IoT, the Internet of Things solutions available, which can be connected to the dashboard through which the behavior, the driving behavior of a driver can be monitored. And that IoT can continuously inform a driver how to become more eco-friendly driver. For example, there could be a third solution, and that third solution is an addition of certain additives in a fuel through which chemically the purity of that fuel can be increased, and your car may work as like fresh factory level car. So there are different kind of solutions, but again all of these solutions are heading us towards one objective, which is increasing the fuel efficiency. So depending upon your research question, depending upon the problem, and of course depending upon the research field that you have adopted, you need to look up to their relevant solutions. Now once these solutions have been discussed with your end users, of course we will be moving to the next step of solution acceptance script, and that next step is looking something like this. So now you can see the next section in fact shows you a table with the heading of existing solutions with limitations to be asked by end user. Now you can see it is divided into two different codes. The first code says is solution explored by end user. So there are different solutions that you have already explored, but there are same solutions that you are exploring now with the help of an academic inventor. So you could have a list of these 8 solutions available, and they can be coded as solution explored by academic inventor and solution discussed by end users. Now your priority would be to understand that though there are existing solutions, but in fact all these solutions have same intensity of limitations or not. So let us have a look to this right section of the table, which says intensity of limitation divided into 3 different sections, which is high, moderate and low. Now there is a possibility that some of the solutions that your academic inventor have highlighted, and at the same time a solution which is discussed by an end user, there is very much possible that all of them come up with different intensity of limitation. Now suppose your academic inventor, as an academic inventor, you are looking to certain solutions which in your preference have a very high intensity of limitation, and your end user or your interviewee is also giving you same information. Now suppose let's have a look that SEU3 is suppose being codified as moderate, and suppose SAC4 is codified as low, and suppose SAC has been codified as high. Now purpose here in fact is to quantify the information that we have gathered already through a qualitative analysis. So we just want to understand that all the solutions that we have been looking forward for, or all the solutions that we have gathered so far, must have certain classification, and classification in a sense that few are very important to be solved immediately and few are not that important to be solved immediately. In order to facilitate this section, we have another section that will help us to understand the ranking on the emergency scale. Let us have a closer look to the next section. Now you can again see in this next section there are same solutions, they have been starting from SEU1 and ending at SAC5. Same detail would come up into this table in these rows which we can see, and now this time we will be asking a question from our end user to rank all these solutions on the emergency scale. Now you can see here that there may be certain solutions which does have limitations, but those limitations need not to be eliminated immediately. But there may be certain solutions which need eliminations immediately. So if there are certain solutions which can be compromised and we can go on with these solutions, we may, or your end user may give it a number of 1 or 2 or 3. But then there may be certain solutions from which it is very important to eliminate the limitations, could be given a number of 8, 9 and 10. So now depending upon this ranking, you will be able to quantify and validate with the help of end user that what solutions are available and how limitations which have been highlighted must be seen and must be answered through your research process. Now then let us move on further and look to the last section of this template number 10. Now the template number 10, last section, have 2 questions clearly depicted. Question number 3 says, what is the probability of paying by the end user for the new solution to be introduced in the market, meeting the identified limitations of the existing solutions? Now, this question is very important to learn because people may say that I need a solution, but they may not prefer to pay for it. So, we can ask them if this kind of solution would be available in market soon, whether you will be paying for it or not. But then related to this question is a fourth question which would say which mode they prefer to pay for it. So, let me read this fourth question for you too. Fourth question says whether the end user will directly pay for the new solution or it will be paid indirectly through other modes. Let me clear this question again with the help of certain examples. So, let us come back to the same automobile example that we just had a look to. Now, suppose your car needs an upgradation, a software or hardware intervention with engine control unit. But then at the same time, if you are using Toyota Prius, suppose, then it is already upgraded. The softwares and hardware are already a part of it. You need not to go for modification. Now, if you have to do this modification by your side, of course, you need to pay it directly. But of course, if you are going to purchase a car which already had these modifications implemented, you are also paying for it, but this time you are paying it indirectly. So, you do not know that what components and what kind of instruments which are already available in your car, you need not to pay for them separately. Rather, you are going to purchase only a car for you. Similarly, if you are going to have some chemicals as in chemical additives for your fuel, you can buy a bottle of that additives as a direct purchase. But suppose you are taking your car to the showroom for entire service, they will be using all other kind of components, other kind of liquids, other type of chemicals for your car service too. So, this time again you are paying for that chemical, but you are not directly paying for it. So, let me give you a tip that is given by LCI for you. If your project, if your product, if your service is plug and play and cost effective, is better to opt a direct payment mode. But if you think your product or your service would be expensive and may not be plug and play, it is better to prefer the mode of indirect payment. With these kind of two questions, the template number 10, which is solution acceptance script, completes. But then at the same time, let me also tell you that with this template, we also completed the fourth component of the LCI, which is the market landscape. Now, let's have a look to your LCI once again. Your LCI, which was started from component number 1, problem identification, followed up by literature search, followed up by existing solutions, and then followed up by market landscape. So, in today's episode, in fact, we have completed the fourth component of LCI. So, what we have learned into this fourth component of LCI, it is the normal process that LCI follows, which is the LCI why question, which was why in presence of existing solutions the proposed invention has potential to grow. This question was answered with the help of templates of the LCI. The market landscape templates have 7 associated items, and all these 7 associated items we have been learning one by one in previous episodes. Once this has been done, of course, we have learned template number 9 and template number 10 of the LCI. The template number 9 help us develop market mapping and competitive landscape matrix, and today's in episode number 18, we have learned template number 10, which is solution acceptance script. So, let me share with you that moving on forward, now in next episode, we will start a journey of 5th component of the LCI, which is termed as novelty, and of course, in the same process, we will be learning which question your novelty section is asking, what will be the items in your checklist, and what will be the template that will help us to develop the answers for the novelty section. By the time, I am wishing you all the good luck, and I am leaving you with additional resources, as I earlier mentioned, the book All Neat Canvas for Invention and the website www.invent-c.com for your further knowledge, for your further learning. Thank you very much for listening. Stay connected and wait for the next episode. Thank you.